This is the Contax Zeiss lens kit we've used to film a lot of our projects in the last couple of years. There's a long history about Contax and their camera systems, so if you want to learn more about them, then just follow the link down below. It's a lot more extensive, and it's really the guide you probably want to read up on if you want to learn anything about Contax. To sum it up, Zeiss had been developing their anti-reflective lens coating since 1935. When Contax launched as Zeiss's flagship 35mm SLR system, the accompanying lenses came with the T-Star multi-coating that I feel like a lot of us refer to when we think vintage Contax lenses. Which brings us to this lens set. This 21mm f2.8 ZF2 lens, which isn't a Contax Zeiss lens, but it matches well enough for the kit, and it's what came with it. This Contax Zeiss 28mm f2.8, 50mm f1.4, this 85mm f1.4, this 100mm f2.8 macro planar lens, and lastly, this 28 to 85mm zoom lens. And we also don't really use this lens too often, even though we have it, just because of how it zooms and focuses. Robbie and Harry bought this kit off of eBay after a brief FaceTime with the seller for $2,800. And ever since then, we've used this lens set for a number of different cameras, including the FX6, the FX3, the Pocket 4K, 6K, and also the Ursa G2. I'm sure there are a couple of others that we've used this lens set on, but those are the main ones. Before I get into what I think about the lenses, the pros and cons, I wanted to set up a scene and show you guys what the image looks like on the FX6. This is the setup we're going with right now. We have Harry over here. Now we have the key going on the left side of his face, camera right. It's not like, I didn't want it super strong. I still wanted to have some contrast on the other side. Having the haze in here will definitely bring up the ambient levels, so the contrast won't be too much. But anyways, then we have a practical light in the back. We have the 600X coming through that window over on my left. And then we have the 150C coming through this back window, set to that color temperature to try to get it as close as I could to mercury vapor light color. And I chose to put it on a combo stand. It's a lot sturdier than using a C-stand, and you're gonna be able to go a lot higher. And anyways, that's the setup. One thing to note though is if you're using these lenses natively, they do use the Contax Yashica mount or the CY mount. With this lens kit, it actually came installed with some accessories from SimMod, All of our lenses, except the 21mm and the zoom lens, came with mounts installed directly onto the lens itself. With this one, we have the SimMod mount, the CY to EF mount lens adapter. The nice thing about this is that because it's installed with screws, there's no play with the lens mount, which is what you want. And with being EF, it can be adapted to a lot of different lens mount systems. And then the second accessory that got installed on all of our lenses was a step-up ring up to a 77mm lens ring. So this one is a 55mm to 77mm step-up ring. And then we also have this 85 that has a 67 to 77mm step-up ring. What this does is it standardizes all of our lenses. So if we want to mount a VND or a polarizer, it's just a lot easier that all of our lenses are the same. And then I forgot the third accessory that was installed on all of our lenses were these gears. So if you find yourself pulling focus a lot or you have someone else to do it first AC, then you're going to want these gears installed as well. One recommendation that I would give as far as lens adapters goes is to get a good brand and get the right one. This is the Metabones EF to E mount T-Cine lens adapter. And there are two reasons that I got this adapter to go with my FX6 and my FX3. Okay, so if I move this adapter around, I mean, there's zero play, zero. And that's really good if you want to be able to pull focus on your, on your manual lenses. The second reason that I got this specific Metabones, the T-Cine, is because it has a locking ring similar to PL mount, except this one is made for EF. So if I turn the ring to the left, it unlocks it just like a PL mount. And then when I turn the ring the other way, then it locks it in. If you're familiar with using PL mounts, then this is going to feel very familiar. If you're not familiar with PL mounts or using rings like this, then it might take a second to get used to because there is no click when you put your lens in. So that's something to be aware. You want to make sure that your lens is mounted all the way to the mount before you lock it in. And give it a test wiggle. Make sure that your lens is on there. Here we've got the 50, and then we've got the Metabones adapter on the FX3. All you do is line up the red dots. It's lined up. Then you give it a good twist. And you don't need to over crank it, but you want to make sure that you have it on there. And that's it. Yeah, if I move the actual lens, there's no play. No play at all. And then there's no play between the adapter and the camera body. So when I put this on a follow focus system with a motor, this lens isn't going to be moving around when I'm pulling focus. Here are a couple of positives that I think about with these lenses. One is they work on full frame. And at the time that we kind of bought these lenses, we were kind of switching from the Blackmagic camera system. So the camera we have is the Pocket 4K, but we also had access to an Ursa G2. And we were switching to the Sony sort of ecosystem. And so having a lens set that works with the FX6 and the FX3 was incredibly important and worked out really well for us. Two, the lenses give that vintage look. They give that nice flaring if that's something you want. And so if you're looking for a lens set to use on your films, then I feel like these are great lenses to definitely take a look at. Third, they are really abundant on eBay. It might be harder to find a full kit that someone has put together, but if you're looking for individual lenses and looking to kind of kit it yourself, then they're all over eBay and they're affordable with the exception of a few. And then let's go over the cons with these lenses. The first one being is the flares. If you're not controlling your light sources or you're pointing it at sources that are really bright, then they're gonna flare a lot and then your image is gonna be washed out. And for me, I'm not a super huge fan of that. And so I really try to use these lenses when I'm in a more controlled environment. Two is that you do want to sim mod these lenses, whether you do it with SimMod or some other manufacturing company that can do, accessories and mods. you're definitely gonna want to do that route with all of your lenses. Because these are still lenses originally, they all are very different in shape, in the size of the focus rings, the size of the front rings. They're all different, and you want to standardize them in some kind of way to make your life a lot easier when you're using them. And yeah, that brings me to my third con, which is that these lenses, as you focus in and out, the barrels actually extend out forward and backwards. Here's the 100mm macro planar lens, and I'm using this one because it exaggerates it the most. So we're gonna start close to infinity and work ourselves way down. And as you see, the front barrel extends as the focus moves forward. This is a problem for two reasons. One, it makes pulling focus virtually impossible if you're trying to do it with some kind of motor. The only way to pull focus with a motor is to get a really thick focus ring. And even then, I don't know if it would go past it. You probably would need to get one that can compensate a little bit bigger than you would think, or at least fill this whole, middle part of the barrel. And then two, let's say my hand is here and it's out of focus, right? Well, as I'm trying to focus in on this subject, the lens is actually moving forward and it's shifting my plane forward. And so I have to move my camera back to compensate for that movement. And it's not like a huge problem, it's more of an annoyance. But that's one thing to note with a lens like this. This is the extreme, this is the 100mm. It's not like that at all with like the 28mm, like it only moves, let me show you guys. With this 28mm, it does not move nearly as far as the 100. The focusing distance isn't even that close compared to the 100mm, obviously. So it's not a problem with this lens, but it's a problem with the 100mm, so it's something to note. The real issue with this is that if you use a clamp-on matte box on the front of the lens, the matte box weighs enough that you can feel it as you pull focus, which is a bit annoying. Even if you use a lightweight matte box, you're still going to feel it, versus a matte box that you mount on the 15mm rails. And again, if you want to get the most out of them, then I seriously recommend you to mod these lenses with a EF mount or whatever mount you're going to use, and with a front diameter ring, and get the gears installed as well. that pretty much wraps it up about the Contax Zeiss lenses. I'm sure there's a lot that I could go through, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of the lenses and what I think about them. Hopefully these examples will give you a good idea of what the lenses are like, especially if you're someone that's looking for the right lens set. If you like the content or this video or want to see more in the future, then please hit that like button or subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you on the next one.